I'm Jasmine Naylor, your life and business catalyst and your spending strategist. And I wanted to jump on so that I could give you a small tutorial about a new grant that is currently available. And based on previous experience, I know a lot of people in Massachusetts did not take advantage of the EIDL or some CARES PPP dollars that they could have, or they delayed before acting on it, either because they weren't knowledgeable, they weren't reading up on it, or they just overall didn't think they qualified. So I want to make sure that as many people as possible know about some new grant funding that is now available. And you can see my screen currently. I will put the link in the comment section so that you can go ahead and go look at this information directly yourself. But essentially, there is some money that is available. $25,000 for folks that have businesses with 5 or fewer employees, and $75,000 for folks that have 50 or fewer employees. Different requirements for each one. Some of them overlap, but they seem to be a little bit differently. So on your screen, you should be able to see the current website. And this is the information for those with 5 or fewer employees. So when it comes to the online application, it is online. So you need access to a computer. And if you're really not tech savvy, make sure that you link up with someone and reach out for resources in order to get this done. You might have a cousin, a sister, a friend, an aunt, a mom, a dad, whatever the case may be. Tap into the resources you have to make this possible for you. So this is what the online portal application will look like when you say apply, and it has all the details here. I will just read through some of this for you so that we can break down what you qualify for. So again, it's completely online. There's information, contact information, a help center that you can click. You can see these right on here. If you have any other questions, you can also email this particular email right there. Something that you need to know, this grant is available for a limited time. The grant application is open right now. It opened October 22nd and it's closing on November 12th at noontime. So make sure that you pay attention to those dates. There's only a couple weeks left, or less than a couple weeks, for you to actually apply for this if it's something you qualify for. So these funds are available to Massachusetts micro enterprises adversely impacted by COVID-19. So have you been impacted? They're not telling you how to be impacted, but have you been impacted financially because of COVID in your business of 5 employees or fewer? So these funds were received from the CARES Act of 2020, and they have been given to the Massachusetts Department of Housing and Community Development by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, and will be administered by the Massachusetts Growth Capital Corporation. Does that really matter to you? Not really, but that just lets you know where the money came from and who's administering it. So key information. Preference will be given to small businesses whose owners are women. Is that you? Minorities, is that you? Veterans, how about that? Is that you? What about members of other underrepresented groups? Is that you? If that's you, this might be something you qualify for that you want to look into further. Also, are you focused on serving the gateway cities of Massachusetts and those most negatively impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic? We know that those really most impacted are communities of color. Are you serving those people? You can easily Google some of these terms to get more clarity. Don't think that these words are too big for you to comprehend. Google is your best friend on this. Anything you have a question on, you can look, and also you can email the folks. Don't be shy to email. Don't think that by emailing, it makes you less than a person in business. Listen, the best business people are the people that ask questions when they don't know the answer. So preference for this application will go to those with greatest need and that who have not been able to receive aid funding from other federal programs related to COVID-19. Is that you? Did you not get any money from anywhere else? And even if you did get some money from somewhere else, you still might qualify. This is just saying where preference is going to go. It doesn't exclude you. Keyword preference. So now, application submission instructions. You must completely fill out the application along with the attachments that they're asking you to send in that are required. Again, make sure you check every required checkbox. Anything that's optional, you don't have to send in today. They might ask for it for a future day. Get everything that's required in as soon as possible. So hard copies or electronic copies submitted in any other way, such as mailed in or emailed, will not be considered. Pay attention to this. They are not accepting formal documents via email or mailed into their facility. You have to do it online. You have to convert whatever documents you have to an electronic format. reach out to your network. You have an inner network and an outer network. Reach out to your inner network, who will hopefully be able to assist you. And if they can't assist you, they will let you get in contact with their inner network, which is your outer network. Your network is much bigger than you think it is. So now that we got that all out the way, make sure that everything that you're completing is accurate and legible. That will only be considered. Don't go sending documents that can't be read. Make sure you look at all the documents you upload to make sure that they can be easily reviewed. Last thing you need to do is have your application not considered because you didn't scan something in properly. Get on point, double check all your work. Here's who qualifies. Pay attention to this. This is all online, all public and free information for you. Businesses must have a physical establishment in Massachusetts. Are you established in Massachusetts? You gotta exist in Massachusetts. Businesses must be a micro enterprise, a commercial enterprise that has 5 or fewer employees, one or more of whom owns the enterprise. If you just got you, that's a business. That's a micro enterprise. It didn't say you had to have 5 employees. It said you had to have 5 or fewer. You're an employee, whether you take a full paycheck or not, you are an employee. So if you're a one man or woman show, you qualify. The owners of the business must qualify under the low moderate income limited clientele national objective criteria. I had to look this up myself. Google is my best friend. So this essentially is saying that there's a particular population that is considered the low moderate income limited clientele national objective. And I think this is under HUD. So essentially it's saying that you're serving really like an underserved population in certain communities. So again, most likely you are. All you have to do is tell and weave the story. If you think you qualify, you probably qualify. And don't discount yourself or discredit yourself just because you don't understand what this word means. Reach out to the people and get clarification your own self as well. Here's another key piece of information, which I wish they would have put the actual amounts of money in here, because this is something that's specific. You must earn an annual income equal to or less than 80% of the area median income based on family size. Again, area median income is something you can Google, and it varies based on city, based on region, and there's certain numbers that you have to hit. So they're saying that that is applying, that you've got to be below this 80% of the area median income based on your family size. So they're looking at your whole family size here. So 80% of that, there is a particular number. I don't want to misquote the proper numbers, but let's just say it's $80,000 for a family of 4 or 5. There's tables online. Google this information and find out what it is. Better yet, you could even utilize the resources, and while you're gathering all these other details, email the people and ask them to send you what the information is for the city you live in to determine if you qualify for this. You can also Google and find it yourself as well. And you're looking for the most recent area median income, because these tables change year over year. They can change year over year. So now we got that out of the way. Your business must be a for-profit entity. It must be a sole proprietorship, a partnership, a corporation, a cooperative, or an LLC. This is key. You don't have to be an LLC or a formally orchestrated business. You could be a sole proprietor. That means that all of the funds typically come in and you file them on your personal tax returns. So as long as you've documented and appropriately allocated for the money that you have earned for your business for 2019, or the money that you might have lost, and you have records for 2020 up to some point, up to some information to prove what you're asking for, you qualify. So if you're a sole proprietor, if you've acknowledged your business on your personal tax returns or formal tax returns through LLCs, S Corps, whatever the case may be, you might qualify for this. Now, businesses must have provided goods or services to multiple clients or customers. Business must provide goods or services to multiple clients or customers. You should be able to prove this with your books. And your books are spreadsheets. They're, invoices. They're what you filed on your personal taxes the year prior, what you plan to potentially file this year. We're approaching the end of the year, so you should have your stuff, kind of together, depending when your tax year ends. So businesses must be able to document a loss of income equal to or greater than requested assistance due to COVID-19. So again, this is the grant for 5 or fewer employees. So they're saying that you have to document a loss of income equal to or greater to than the assistance that you are requesting due to COVID-19. So you can only ask for up to $25,000. And they're saying whatever you're asking for, you need to show that there has been a loss equal to or greater to that related to COVID-19. Again, they're not getting real specific as to how you're going to dictate this, but the ways that you can show this are, hey, I've been running my business a certain way for a number of years, and look, bam, COVID hit and my revenue dropped. You're going to show this to them through spreadsheets. You're going to show this to them through your invoice log. You're going to show that it could be a number of things. You could show this to them. You can show this to them by canceled invoices. Maybe you're a speaker and you were supposed to have certain gigs, and bam, those gigs got canceled just like that because of COVID. That's a loss of income. Can you prove what you were going to make on those? Could you prove what your trajectory was year over year? These are things that could help you, but don't get lost in the details. As long as you can prove it, I've thrown out some language that might be higher level than what you're using. Use what you've got. Tell the story with the information that you have and generate whatever information you need to further prove that story. Most of you have what you need to prove this. Now, the business must be currently in operation, and if not in operation, must have an intent to open. Doesn't that sound like a blessing right there? Your business can be open currently that you've maintained staying open, or maybe you temporarily closed for some reason because there might have been restrictions in your city or state, or things just got too expensive and you're repivoting and you're changing locations. Hey, it's giving you flexibility there. And intent to open means your word that you have intention to open. Now, business must have been established prior to June 30th, 2019. Your business must have been in business before June 30th, 2019. So in essence, if you have a 2019 tax return, your business should be acknowledged on that. Businesses must be in good standing with the state and the city and town. You paying your taxes? Have you been fined? Do you have outstanding things that need to be addressed? This is stating you need to be in good standing with your city. You need to have your stuff filed appropriately. Businesses must be current on all taxes due through the first quarter of 2020. So if you're those single earners or those businesses that you're paying quarterly taxes, make sure that you paid that first quarter of 2020. And you must have an active and valid state license or in registrations if applicable. So that depends on your business industry. Things that are not allowed to be given grant funds. So if you are in one of these businesses, you cannot get these grant funds. Real estate rentals or sales businesses. That means my real estate business doesn't qualify. Neither does yours. Businesses owned by persons under age 18. That means our kids' businesses. Pretty much sucks that they're not being included, but hey, they're not included. That means if they're under 18, you don't get to document, you don't get to retrieve any funds for them. Businesses that are chains. If you're a chain business, you can't get this funding. Liquor stores, sorry, you're not in this. Sorry, not sorry. Weapons, firearms dealers, same thing. You don't apply for this. Lobbyists, you don't apply for this. Cannabis related businesses, you don't apply for this either. So as I said, the amount of funding for this is up to $25,000. They're connecting the amount of funding that you're going to be able to get related to the amount of funding that you've lost. So keep that in mind. Make sure you can prove the amount that you're asking for. Here's what you can use the money for. And this is really more flexible than the one that's 50 employees or less. Funds may be used for working capital to cover business costs such as rent, staffing, utilities, technical assistance, general support, and stabilization of the business. This is some pretty general and broad categories that this money can be used for. So that's really incredible. Funds may also be used for purchasing PPE, personal protection equipment, those masks, those goggles, those face shields, those, what are those called? Cloths called when you put them over yourself. Can't remember what it's called. I should know, I work in healthcare. But either way, you could do those, maybe the booties on your feet, PPE. They put it in here. You can buy PPE with that. So non-approved use of funds. Grant funds may not be used for major equipment purchases, purchase of real property, construction activities, business expansion, or lobbying. So they're telling you what you can't use this money for. You may not use this money to purchase equipment, major equipment. You can't do it. You cannot purchase real property, which is property affixed to land or land itself. You can't purchase real property. Real property is a legal term. That's what real property means. So you can't purchase real property. Construction activities. You can't go renovating stuff with this money. That's a construction activity, right? You can't do that. And business expansion, you can't take this money and say, I'm going to open and launch another second store, a second branch. That's not what it's for. It's for the main or what you've got now. And lobbying. Lobbying is advocating for laws and things like that in the state house and in the Fed level. Those businesses aren't covered. You could see that under the not covered thing, but also now it's not covered within your business as well. So you can't take that money and use money to lobby. Also, grantees must prevent the duplication of benefits. So that means if you got money to do things already, you cannot then ask for this money to do the same thing that you already got money for. That's called double dipping. You can't double dip. So you have to prevent the duplication of benefits, which means these grants may not be used to pay expenses if another source of a financial aid has paid the same expense. So no double dipping. Don't say that, oh, I need this to pay my rent, and then you already got money to pay your rent from PPP dollars. It doesn't work like that. Don't say that you need this to pay salaries and the salaries were already paid for that same period through PPP or IEDL money. You can't double dip. Don't double dip. Don't get yourself caught out there for double dipping. Now, if you or are a person who owns multiple businesses and submits an application for each of the businesses, they're letting you know that you might not get approved for each of them. They're going to reserve the right to limit the proceeds to one business per owner. So it's just telling you that they reserve that right. Doesn't mean they say they're going to exercise the right. I guess it all depends how many people apply and how much money is in the pool that's available. So if you've got multiple businesses and it's easy for you to gather this information, by all means, apply with the multiple businesses, because at least you know you're going to get one, but you might get more than one, depending who uses the dollars or not. Here's the award process for you. After the application closes, which we know that is November 12th at noontime, so noontime, November 12th, the agency that's administering this, which is Massachusetts Growth Capital Corporation, MGCC for short, they're going to review all the applications and determine who's eligible. And then they will award and give out the money based on the criteria and the preference priorities. So remember, they have a preference to who they're giving to, and they have an eligibility criteria. They're going to scale people. Pretty much they're going to list you based on the preference and priorities. So again, it's just letting you know that maybe if it's not the preference and maybe it's not the full priority, that there still might be a chance that you get in there. So don't discredit yourself. You know, the worst that can happen is you get a no. So here's what you need to do in terms of required documentation. So you must include this with your application. Again, it's online. You need a DUNS number. Don't get scared. It's a simple online number that you can get through the Fed system. It's listed right on the website. It's called a DUNS number. They're stating there's a 24-hour turnaround time. Don't have one, you can get one. Request it today. Don't wait to the last minute and let this be the reason that you get excluded from your application. Do it now if this is something you're going to do. You're also going to need to provide a copy of your 2019 federal business tax returns and including all your schedules. So remember, sole proprietors are allowed in this business application grant as well. You might not have separate federal business tax, a separate federal business tax return like a corporation might have. Your business money might flow through your personal taxes through the business schedules. That's okay. Don't think because you don't have a federal business tax return that you don't have an appropriate tax return. It could be your personal tax returns. So make sure you include those as well. And they ask for them anyways. Look at this next bullet. Include your 2019 federal personal tax returns for each business owner, including all required schedules. So if you're a business that has multiple owners, well, you all got to send in your stuff and you got to do it through that online portal. You'll also need a copy of your license to operate, business license, professional certification, if applicable. Again, that depends what kind of business you're having, right? So all businesses won't necessarily have these particular types of requirements. You know, restaurants have different rules than hair salons. Hair salons have different rules than an auto body shop, than a gas station, whatever the case may be. You each have your own requirements, so understand your requirements. And again, when in doubt, email the folks that are in charge. You also need to complete and sign an IRS W-9 form. It ain't that hard to do. Let's just click and see what happens just so you can see it. Look, it's so simple. Name, the business name, what type of business you are, you select that. You also are going to sign this. You're going to put in your social, or if you have an EIN number. If you're a business, even a sole proprietor, here's a little tidbit for you. You can get an EIN number so that you don't got to put your social security number on information like this. You could just put your business EIN number. That's a quick, really instantaneous turnaround process through the irs.gov website. Don't go through any of the other hacking websites or that make you pay for things. EINs are free. So you can always do that yourself. But to speed up time, you can just do what it says currently. So next, if your business is an LLC, partnership, or corporation a copy of your certificate of good standing from the Secretary of State. So this is only for those types of businesses. If you're a sole proprietor, you're not going to have this to give. So it doesn't qualify to you. But if you're one of those types of businesses, you have to get one of those certificates of good standing. They're not that hard to get. This tells you exactly where to get them. You get them through the SEC website, the Secretary of State, Francis Galvin. It's an online process. You make sure you have your login information. If you establish your business properly, you already have this information. And if you did it online, but if you don't have an online account, it's very quick and easy to get. And that office pretty much responds to people within 24 hours. So if you need something, you can email those folks, and the online portal will give you that information. Let me just show you what it looks like really quickly so you know exactly where you're going. This is the Secretary of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, William Francis Galvin. So this is the main page that you can look up your business information. You can look up anybody's business information and see some things. But you can receive certificates by email, which is really helpful, certificates of good standing. And you also can log in. Let me show you where you can log in. So certificates and certified copies. So here's a certificate request form, which we were just on here. You look up your information, and if you have to pay a fee, you pay the fee, then you have your information and you can review your request. So there's also a way you can do this logging in directly, but I ain't gonna log in directly because I don't want you to see my login information. But anywho, pretty simple. Just walk through it. If you get confused, by all means, pick up the phone and call people. Don't be shy to ask for help. I can't say that enough. Don't think you automatically don't qualify for something. Don't let this terminology shy you away from applying for this funding. Now, if your business is a sole proprietor, you need a copy of your business certificate with your city or town. Some of you might say, well, I never got a DBA. Take a deep breath. All you're going to do is go down to City Hall or wherever your city or town is, and you're just going to file the paperwork. Bam, now you qualify. So it's key because you only have a very short amount of time in order to get this information. So the key things are get your DUNS number and get your DBA as soon as possible, because if you got to request them, you want them already secured while you're submitting everything within 24 hours. So now a copy of the invoice for expenses you wish to use these grant funds to cover. Here's another tidbit, which I thought was really great. If it is for a future expense, they're letting you use this for things you didn't even buy yet. Please describe in detail what that expense will be in 1 to 2 sentences, and expect to submit proof that the expense was paid within 45 days of receiving your grant. They told you what this money could be used for up above. Now they're telling you that you can pay for things that have already been paid for out of your personal pocket. No double dipping, remember. But maybe you don't want to pay cover anything that was already done in the past. Maybe you want to purchase some things moving forward within the rules. This would be the time to do that. They said technical assistance. A lot of things qualify for technical assistance, which is support, additional support to elevate your ability to do your work in your business. What else did they put in there? Let me go up really quickly. So approved funds, business costs such as rent. You could pay your rent with that money. You could pay for staffing. Maybe you have virtual assistants. Maybe you don't have a virtual assistant yet and you want to use a virtual assistant that'll help you pivot better in your business. Staff, I think that's staffing. Utilities, maybe you have internet bills. Maybe you have light bills, gas bills that are tied to your business. Well, you can cover that with it. Technical assistance, like I said, general support and stabilization for your business. So, I'm of the mindset, if you want your business to go to the next level, you've got to invest in your business, masterminds, coaching. If they let you pay for that in here, by all means, pay for that in here. If they let you pay for courses to help you pivot in this market with that money, do that. And again, I'm not giving you business advice. I'm just reading the application here. So do as you wish with your application. However, I do hope that this information is helpful to you. So you got to give copies of those invoices. And if you want to pay for something in the future, you have to pay it out or buy that thing within 45 days of getting your grant money. And they might want proof of that. Always keep a paper trail for everything. And a copy of your business lease or mortgage bill. Maybe you don't have one. Well, then you wouldn't include one if you don't have one. But if you do have one, you'd include it. Now, here's some optional information. Now, again, you see how they put optional in here? Optional means you don't got to submit it today. You may never have to submit it, but there's some language in here that they may want it at some point in time. It could be in the future. So I always let people know, gather the information and tuck it to the side. You don't submit it if you don't want to. Keep it to the side. And when they ask for it, submit it. But here's that information. 2020 income verification supporting documentation. So that's information about your income for 2020. Applicants may submit historical documentation to support the projected revenues and expenses with their application, such as quarterly tax statements, income statements, sales reports, cash flow statements, and accounts receivable reports as supporting documentation. You might want to submit this with your application if you're trying to prove a story that why you should get $25,000 and how the history shows that you really lost that amount of money. In this case, you might want to submit that with the application upfront just to solidify it, because they are looking through to see the different various applications. And that could make your application stronger than somebody else that doesn't have it. So that is a tidbit to give in there as well. While not a requirement upon application submission, please note that applications must provide such documentation if requested by the Massachusetts Growth Capital Corporation, the Massachusetts Department of Housing and Community Development, or the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development at a later date. So they're letting you know, if you don't submit this information, it doesn't mean that it won't ever be asked for. It may not, but it could be, and any of these people could be asking for it. So here's what you need to know. Compliance with federal funds, laws, and regulations. Applicants must comply with all applicable laws. So keep yourself in order. Make sure that you're walking the straight and narrow. Technical assistance, technical support, contact submittal. So here's the help center. You can click that, and let me just show you so that you can get familiar and comfortable with all of these things. Here's what this page looks like. So again, get yourself familiar. It tells you, how do you create an account? How do you submit? What's the status of your submission? How can I contact an organization to which I submitted to? It gives you helpful information. If you need help with something else, you can send them this. I recommend that you use the email address that they gave you. You might get a faster response there, or do double duty. I love duplication because you never know who's going to respond faster, or you might get different information and then you can, mention it to them. So back over here. So any other questions, you can email support@massgcc.com and put in the subject line, small business grants for 5 or fewer employees. Make sure you pay attention to that. Small business grants for 5 or fewer employees. Subject line must read that. Again, subject line must read small business grants for 5 or fewer employees. And it looks like this information is going to be available in multiple language shortly. Maybe they got it up already. I don't know, but they said they were going to. And then you can go ahead and create your account. So this is what it looks like creating your account. You need an email, a password, confirm your password, your first name, your last name. If you do not have an email, you need to get an email. Very simple, very free. You got Google, you got Yahoo, and whoever else gives free emails. So that should not be a barrier to you. And if it is a barrier to you, make sure you link up with someone that can help walk you through that process. So that concludes this video. If you know somebody that qualifies after you hearing this, make sure that you not only like this, heart this, share this. You'd be surprised how many people, especially underserved communities of color, that do not apply for grants that they qualify for. And this is especially for you. They have a highlight for women and for underserved folks. So make sure that you share. Share the link, copy and paste it, text it out to people. It's up to $25,000 for folks with 5 or fewer employees. I hope this was helpful, and good luck on getting that grant.